See this? This is the ticker symbol of my #1 oil stock to buy right now. A single stock that could easily hand investors 3 to 5 times their money or more in the days ahead. Don't worry, I'll bring this image into focus in just a minute. Because tonight I want to tell you the name of the company, its stock ticker, and key business details. All you have to do is stay tuned. You see, after years of going nowhere, oil is once again in a huge bull market, and it's making people a lot of money. Over the past 6 months, oil has surged past the S&P 500, the Dow, the NASDAQ Composite, even Bitcoin. But those gains, well, I believe they're nothing compared to what's coming next. According to my research, we're still in the early stages of a major and unprecedented move higher, one that could turn many oil companies into incredible cash machines. Thanks to the convergence of several key forces building like a pressure cooker, this new bull market will be unlike anything we've seen before. I predict it's going to be bigger than the oil boom of the 1970s and bigger than what we saw in the mid-2000s. When all is said and done, I believe the price of oil could spike to $180 a barrel. And it's not just me saying this. Many Wall Street analysts and energy experts are preparing for this scenario too. Rystad Energy, one of the world's leading oil research firms, projects that oil could hit $200 a barrel. Goldman Sachs believes the same thing, saying that Brent crude oil could move above $200 a barrel. And Peter Ontorant, one of Wall Street's top fund managers and energy experts, just announced that he believes oil could soon hit $240 a barrel. If you think those numbers are shocking, I don't blame you. We have never seen oil prices go that high, and it's most likely going to go even higher in the months ahead, which means that if you lost money in tech stocks this year, oil could be your chance to make up those losses and then some. In fact, a heavy position in oil stocks could make 2022 the most profitable year of your life, which is why the information you receive here is so important. Because tonight, while most investors are left in the dark, I'm going to tell you the real reason why this is happening. And I'm going to reveal the name of one of my favorite oil stocks, a company that I believe every investor should be holding in the months ahead. The stock is so well positioned that it could turn a relatively small stake into massive gains in the coming year. Why am I giving away such valuable information? 2 reasons. First, as a 43-year veteran of Wall Street, I know that most people haven't done enough to prepare for what is quickly becoming the biggest oil bull market in history. People simply don't know the best way to profit in times like this, but I do. I've been showing people how to navigate and profit in these kind of markets for the majority of my career. But here's the thing. In the times ahead, people can't afford to just think about profit. They also need to be prepared to safeguard their finances. As you can imagine, oil surging to around $200 a barrel would have massive implications for society. Most Americans won't know what to do when gasoline, utilities, groceries, and electronics are twice as expensive as they are today. Which is why I put together this comprehensive analysis. I'm going to show you not only how to survive, but thrive in the age ahead. It's not all bad news either. I believe that if you understand a few key principles, which I'll lay out here, you can emerge on the other side of this oil surge unscathed. Better yet, you could have the chance to be much wealthier than you were at the start. If you're retiring, looking to retire soon, or are living on a fixed income, this is the information I would want you to share with me if our roles were reversed. The second reason I'm stepping forward today is because I believe I do some of the best research in America when it comes to retirement and investing. And I know that if I can help you navigate the coming surge in oil prices successfully, you might become a loyal fan of my work over the long term. You might even want to do business with me in the future. But that'll be entirely up to you. Sharing some of my latest research for free like this is how I built some of the world's longest running financial research advisories, services that helped over 460,000 readers worldwide. It's how I earned my reputation as one of the most important money managers of our time. It was thanks to this approach that I became the go-to source of multiple major media outlets. They turned to me to understand what's happening in the market. Today you can catch me on Fox Business, Yahoo Finance, and Bloomberg. But enough about me. This message is all about you. I want to help you understand how we got to where we are, and I want to show you a few simple but critical moves you can make today to set yourself up for a profitable future. And don't worry if all this is catching you a little by surprise. You're not alone. You see, over the last few years, we've been sold a certain narrative about oil, that it's dead, done, a relic of the past. You've been told we're hurtling towards an entirely green future, one reliant on solar and wind, and most of all, battery-powered electric cars. I still believe that we could get to that future someday, but right now, no matter how you slice it, oil is still king. And as I'll show you today, I predict it's going to remain king for at least the next 2 decades. No matter how hard lawmakers in DC push the green energy revolution, if I learned nothing else in my career, I learned this. The oil industry, like everything else, runs in cycles. Prices go up, we look for more oil. More supply is added to the market. Prices plateau. Exploration stops. Supply goes down. Prices go up, which means we're right here, right at the start of a new, inevitable oil bull market. And there's almost nothing like an oil bull market. The staggering price moves in oil bull markets make them truly phenomenal opportunities where a single investment could help fund your retirement. But my research tells me the bull market that's coming is going to be the biggest one to date. And in an ironic twist of fate, Uncle Sam just lit the fuse for the next big run-up. Here's what I mean. They call it ESG, or Environmental Social Governance. The people behind the ESG movement are many things, but their biggest goal is this. They want big companies to decrease their investments in fossil fuels and reward them for long-term climate-friendly solutions. But let's just call it what it really is, not investing in new oil production. ESG is the reason you might have noticed a lot of rebranding going on lately in the oil sector. If you look at the way oil companies are spending money, many of the world's biggest oil companies, Exxon, Shell, BP, and Chevron, some of their recent ventures make them more like green energy companies than oil companies. BP invested $200 million into solar projects throughout the United States. Shell just spent $4 million on a wind farm. Chevron has invested $3 billion into a renewable energy group. Heck, British Petroleum has gone so far as to change their name to Beyond Petroleum. Today, more than half of the companies in the Fortune 500 are spearheading major ESG initiatives. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all for cleaning up the planet as much as the next guy. But the fact of the matter, and what some of our elected officials fail to understand, is that oil remains the most important commodity in the world. Just look at the numbers. Today, 97% of all American automobiles still run on gasoline or diesel. And electric vehicles, they're not going to change that anytime soon. In fact, even if EV adoption continues at its current rate, it still won't have a meaningful impact on the global car fleet for at least another 15 years. And even if EV adoption accelerates, that doesn't mean that EVs won't use oil. Up to 50% of electric vehicles are made of plastic, a byproduct of oil. And it still takes several gallons of oil to make a single tire. Beyond cars, oil is the dominant energy source for some of the world's largest and most critical industries. The aviation industry still relies on oil. They rely on oil to power every single one of the 100,000 flights that take off every day. Our trucking and shipping industry is also fully reliant on oil, with the majority of delivery vans currently on the road using gasoline or diesel. The cargo ships we use to ship goods all over the world are still 100% reliant on fossil fuels. Even our utilities are still tied to oil. In the Northeast, oil is still a critical source of heat for many homes, with New York consuming the most heating oil out of all the northern states. My point is, transitioning the U.S. and the world to green energy isn't something that will happen overnight or just because a few politicians say so. It will take lots and lots of time, energy, and rebuilding. In fact, it's projected that it would take 30 years and trillions of dollars to build a fully renewable future. Once you understand that, you can see why the push to ESG has been so dangerous for the global economy. Every penny big oil majors spent on the switch to solar, wind, and other renewables is money not spent securing the #1 energy source in America today, oil. And that has led to a major supply shortage, the first key catalyst of an oil price spike. At this point, you may be asking, why not just start drilling? Unfortunately, we can't just drill our way out of the problem. Drilling additional wells is not as simple as turning on a spigot and watching oil gush out. Getting a new oil rig fully operational takes time. On average, even the most experienced companies can take upward of 4 years to get an oil well operational. That's why the Financial Post says we're now hurtling towards an energy crisis. And energy expert Daniel Yegan says that the world could be on the brink of an energy crisis rivaling the 1970s. Underinvestment in oil has put us in a tough situation. And when you pair this with the next catalyst I'm about to show you, you can quickly understand why I expect to see oil spike to $180 a barrel. And this spike may come sooner than most people think. If you're like most Americans, you spent the last 2 years cooped up in your house. Essentially, the pandemic put most of us on house arrest. Restaurants, sports events, international travel. For nearly 2 years, all of it was off the table. People sat inside, they saved, and people saved a lot. Over the course of the pandemic, Americans added $4 trillion to their savings. But now the pandemic is over, and people are eager to spend that money. They're booking extravagant vacations, planning long road trips, and splurging on luxury consumer goods. Even with the current inflation, experts believe that Americans are spending often upward of $700 more a month. But what does this have to do with oil? Well, everything Americans want to do right now requires oil. And that means that as Americans rush to get out of their homes and resume their normal lives, it's going to send the price of oil through the roof. Let's look at the air travel industry as an example. I mentioned earlier that the aviation industry is one of America's biggest oil consumers, which is why when the aviation industry essentially shut down in 2020, it was such a headache for big oil companies. People stopped traveling, and global air travel fell by more than 70%. Airlines lost billions of dollars in revenue. You probably remember pictures like this. Billion-dollar companies were forced to ground entire fleets, likely just to save themselves from potential bankruptcy. But now the tide is turning. In January 2022, air travel demand was up more than 80% over the same time last year. And research from Statista indicates that flight volume is set to double from its low in 2020. And here's the good news for oil investors. This trend isn't limited to 2022. Global air travel is projected to rise around the world as well, which means that aviation, an industry that's still 100% reliant on oil, is about to go into overdrive, which is great news for anyone holding beaten down oil stocks. And remember, air travel is just one part of the picture. Americans aren't just eager to fly, they're also planning to drive all over the country. Every year, as we head into summer, gas prices go up. But in 2022, gas demand is going to surge beyond normal expectations. 85% of the people in the United States say they have plans to travel in 2022, and most of them plan to travel by car, which means that the prices you're currently seeing at the pump are just the start. With restricted supply, experts believe that we could soon be seeing gas prices as high as $7 a gallon. Beyond that, people are returning to the office, with 8 out of 10 workers saying they are going to resume their commutes in the spring and summer of 2022. And there's still another force driving oil demand: consumers. Remember, Americans have spent the last 2 years saving. Now they're spending, often upward of $700 more a month. Consumption like that is going to have a ripple effect throughout the market. Most people don't go out and buy a new shirt and think, how much oil is in this? But oil is still used in many household items: clothes, laptops, plastic lawn furniture, cell phones, refrigerators, bicycle tires. You wouldn't have any of those products without oil, which means that The more petrochemicals and consumer products Americans buy, the more oil will be needed across the market. Not to mention, we still rely on gasoline and diesel-powered vehicles to move these products all over the world. In the United States, less than 1% of trucks are electric, meaning that more than 99% of all trucks in the United States relies on oil, which means that as Americans buy more consumer goods, we need more oil to make those products, and more oil to fuel the trucks and planes that deliver those products. All of this oil demand, it's created the perfect storm. And when you combine it with unusually low supply, you have the perfect recipe for record higher oil prices. I believe that these two catalysts by themselves are enough to trigger the next big oil bull market cycle. A bull market cycle where we could see the right oil stocks soar by 10x or even 20x in a relatively short amount of time. But here's the thing. There's one other factor driving this incredible bull market. A factor that will do more than just send oil prices sky high, but will also change the shape of the energy industry forever. In fact, I believe that once this event plays out, America will once again become the world's dominant energy exporter, which is why it's so pivotal to get on the right oil stocks now. By doing this today, you are setting yourself up to profit, not just in the short term, but for years to come, which is why I'm going to tell you the name of my favorite oil stock in just a minute. But first, let me explain the final massive force driving this market. On Thursday, February 24th, 2022, Vladimir Putin stunned the world by sending his army into Ukraine. This single act created the largest humanitarian crisis that Europe has seen in 70 years. Western countries rushed to respond, sanctioning Russian oil. Putin retaliated, threatening to shut down Europe's energy supply. In the States, we've watched prices rise at the pump, and we've watched the news, waiting for things to return to normal. But the truth is, what's happening in Ukraine today is much larger than just another geopolitical conflict. In fact, the second Russian soldiers set foot on Ukrainian soil, it changed our entire energy future. Here's why. It's no secret that over the last 10 years, the United States and many Western governments have turned to foreign powers to meet their oil needs. And a lot of this has to do with ESG policies. The American leaders wanted to invest in renewables, but knew they couldn't kick their oil habit. So the only way to keep the lights on and still meet renewable costs was to let someone else do the oil drilling, refining, and transportation we weren't willing to do ourselves. And now that strategy has made us energy reliant on hostile nations. More than 60% of the oil used in the United States comes from foreign countries. And in Europe, the situation is even worse. They import 80% of all their crude oil from foreign powers. Western countries allowed Russia to build its own oil empire, which is why Russia's invasion of Ukraine is not a short-term issue. Putin has proved that he is unreliable, and the West can't afford to be dependent on such an unreliable partner. Now we're in a predicament. As I showed you earlier, we still need oil. Renewables. As they are today, they simply can't replace it, which is why Europe and America only have one choice. If we want to be energy independent, we need to start drilling on our friendly soil. Policy leaders see this, which is why, thanks to Putin, many Western countries have finally started investing in domestic oil production again. The European Parliament announced that they would invest upward of 1.1 billion euros in energy infrastructure. And Germany plans to end Russian oil dependency by the end of this year. Bloomberg has hailed Europe's desperate exit from Russian oil as a wartime mission. In the United States, the message is the same. U.S. oil companies have plans to boost oil production in 2022 and 2023. The GOP wants to entirely end Russian oil imports and boost domestic oil production along the way. Former Trump cabinet member Steve Malloy said, "America itself has essentially an unlimited supply of energy, a basic requirement for a robust economy and national security, and so could and should be insulated from those who would use energy as a geopolitical weapon. Now, you might be wondering, what if this is all just political posturing? I'll be honest, I don't trust politicians to do anything they say. But trust me, this is actually happening. Millions of barrels of Russian oil are being pulled off the tight global market, which will make the value of domestic oil supplies go up dramatically. Already in 2022, oil drilling in the United States has surged by 60%. Formerly beaten down oil companies are about to be hit by a wave of investment. Investment that will allow them to open new wells, build new pipelines, and not just satisfy the demand for oil here at home, but export gas to new customers around the globe. In other words, Putin has kick-started a new American oil age. Just think about it. Russia has proven itself untrustworthy. Who wants to buy oil from a country that could turn around and use that critical energy source as a political tool? European countries are going to rush to the United States, preferring a reliable, time-tested partner over Putin. And that attitude is going to be mirrored by the other countries around the world. Countries that simply can't afford to be beholden to a dictator. And here's the best part. Oil is just the tip of the iceberg. In the coming years, I believe that we'll see the return of many American industries, from semiconductors to pharmaceuticals, as Europe and America wean themselves off of foreign powers. And this whole potential billion-dollar movement, it's all going to be powered by oil. We could very well be heading into the most prosperous oil age in more than 30 years, which brings me back to the core goal of this presentation. I want to make sure you're holding on the right stocks for the oil bull market ahead. And I'm not just talking about stocks that will do well in 2022. I want to make sure that you're holding the right stocks for the entire bull market. Companies set to soar 10x or even 20x over time. Thanks to the unique events at play in the market today, that's why, in just a moment, I'm going to tell you the name of my favorite oil stock for 2022. But first, let me explain why I'm so confident about this company. In every single bull market to date, companies like the ones I'm about to share with you have done incredibly well. And I have no doubt in this new bull market they will do the same. Some people might think that the best way to play rising oil prices is to own the commodity, crude oil. After all, when the price of oil goes up, that's where you'll see it first. But I'm telling you this today, buying crude oil in this bull market would be a mistake. Not only is it difficult for ordinary folks to trade commodities like crude oil, but there's also a far better way to capture massive gains in a roaring oil bull market. A method that has been proven to deliver 10x gains time and time again. The number one way to profit in an oil bull market is to buy oil stocks that are leveraged to the price of oil. Why? Well, there isn't just a one-to-one relationship between the price of oil and an oil company's revenues, cash flow, or earnings. Because oil companies are leveraged, they can see 2x, 3x, even 5x, or 10x gains from a small change in the price of oil. Let's look at an example. Cenovus. Cenovus is a Canadian oil company operating out of Alberta, and they've had an incredible year. Over the last 12 months, Cenovus has been able to add $4.7 billion in operating cash flow, which is more than it's generated in the last 3 years combined. How'd they do it? Simple. The price of oil went up. To deliver higher profits, Cenovus didn't have to change anything about its business model. They just had to ride the wave of rising oil prices. Their business was already set up to be profitable at $60 a barrel. When oil rose to $100, a 66% move, Cenovus stock went up over 100%. And for stocks like Cenovus, the good times are just getting started. Cenovus doubled when oil was around $100 a barrel. Now let's say prices climb to over $100 this year. In that case, a company like Cenovus would see its cash flow stream turn into a raging river, a river that in turn would deliver incredible returns for investors. By our estimates, every $1 price increase in oil can translate into cash flow increase of up to $140 million for Cenovus. If oil prices go up another $10, that means Cenovus stock price could double or even triple again. That's the power of leverage. Just a 10% move in oil could produce a 100% gain in an oil stock like Cenovus. Leveraged oil stocks are a goldmine for investors. They've delivered breakthrough returns no matter what's happening in the overall market, as long as the price of oil stays at a high level. I've already shown you that the mismatch between oil supply and demand won't be solved anytime soon. And that's why I think gains in oil stocks in 2022 will rival some of my biggest gains in the past. I told people to buy Devon Energy in 1990 before oil ran up. That stock went up as high as 2,333%. And the same thing played out after 2009, when oil was skyrocketing towards $150 a barrel. Then I told my followers to buy Gran Terra Energy. It went up as much as 130%. Of course, those are all exceptional gains. Not all stocks go up like that in a bull market. But those stocks are proof that if you're buying the right companies, you have a chance at some incredible profits. And here's the best part of all of this. The oil stocks that are in the perfect position to grow right now are also incredibly underpriced. While it hasn't gotten a lot of media attention, the energy market has outperformed most sectors in 2022, and oil was the primary driver. Despite this incredible performance, I believe oil stocks are still priced cheaper than any other sector. In fact, the oil stock I'm about to name in just a moment has a PE ratio of just 9 right now, an incredible bargain in an oil bull market. I believe that as oil prices continue to climb, the right stocks could see cash flow double or even triple, and their share prices do even better. Investors can buy incredible plays at bargain prices, which brings me back to the stock I want to share with you today. Devon Energy, ticker symbol DVN. Now, Devon is a good buy for quite a few reasons. For starters, it's an all-American company. Headquartered in Arkansas, it has projects in some of America's best oil flats, including the Eagle Ford Shale and the Stock Formation in Oklahoma. Devon has nearly 400,000 net acres of undeveloped drilling rights in North America, which I expect to yield high profits for the company, seeing as they now just opened 65 new wells in the area. Being American-based will allow Devon to step up as money flows back into the oil sector. Outside of those strong growth fundamentals, Devon also pays a great dividend. In 2022, the company paid an incredible 6.27% dividend. No wonder it's nicknamed the king of cash within the oil industry. The stock picking system I've been using over the last 40 plus years just gave Devon Energy an A rating. And that's why it's my #1 oil stock to buy right now. I've used the same stock picking system to help me find multiple winners during oil bull markets in the past. It isolated Devon Energy back in 1990 before it went up as much as nearly 2,333%. As I mentioned, these are exceptional gains. Over the course of my career, I've also had some losses. For reference, the average gain in 2021 in my growth investor service was 46.6%. To fact check any of our data, please visit our details and disclosures page. That said, the situation we're looking at today is unique because bull markets this big have proven that they can deliver landmark gains for investors who take action and buy the right plays. Just think what your life would look like if you turned one of those moves into as much as an extra $1 million for your retirement over time. That's the power of my system. The system evaluates a range of factors: revenue, earnings potential, buying pressure by major institutions, and then projects the long-term growth potential of any stock. And today it's rating Devon a buy. It doesn't matter if you're a seasoned expert or brand new to the oil industry. I believe Devon is one of the safest ways to play out the massive oil bull market about to come down the pike, especially if you're looking for the combination of reliable dividends and strong growth potential. That said, I believe you'll be doing yourself a disservice by just holding Devon. As I mentioned, we're not just entering a new bull market. We're effectively entering a brand new American oil age, one where the right companies could skyrocket 10x or even 20x over time, thanks to unique, once-in-a-lifetime market conditions. If your tech stock holdings are making your portfolio lag, a position in oil stocks could turbocharge it and make 2022 your best year ever as an investor. We're never going to see conditions quite like this again, which is why I want to tell you about 4 more stocks my system helped me identify. I believe that each of these stocks has the potential to generate incredible wealth over the coming months. They're all leveraged to the price of oil, and they're all operating in the United States of America. Regardless of your financial situation, I believe that owning these 5 stocks is the best thing you can do to protect your portfolio in the coming years. That's why I put together a comprehensive report that breaks down all of these opportunities. It's called 5 Stocks for the New Oil Age. In this report, you'll find the ticker symbol of 4 other companies I believe that everyone should own today. Companies just as well positioned as Devon, but with even more upside potential. One of these companies, I just recommended it in February, is an urgent buy. It's heading into a massive merger and plans to pay out a $15 per share dividend. If you act now, you can get in before this merger date. Beyond that, every single stock in this model portfolio has operations on American soil. I expect their revenue to soar as America rushes to bring oil and energy investment back home. Unfortunately, I can't give away the names of all these companies for free. I don't work alone. I employ an entire team of analysts, folks who put their best work every day to make sure that readers are receiving the most relevant and actionable information on the market. To pay these folks, I charge fees for my research. That said, I do believe that the oil stocks in this report are critical for the markets ahead. They could make it so inflation doesn't chip away at your wealth, but actually turbocharges your wealth to a new all-time highs, which is why I've worked together with my publisher to make this report available for free with this special offer. I'll tell you how you can claim your free report in just a moment. But first, I want to touch on a few additional steps you're going to need to protect your wealth in the next couple of months. As I've shown you tonight, many energy experts believe that oil could soon soar past $200 a barrel. When oil prices get that high, it has ripple effects throughout our entire economy. And if you're holding the wrong stocks, high oil prices could destroy your retirement account. That's why buying the right stocks is just one step. I also want to make sure you're ready for everything that's coming our way. America is about to enter strange times. High oil prices mean expensive goods and services. We're already starting to see this at the grocery store, at the gas pump. If you have $500,000 in your bank account, inflation has eaten away $55,000 of that. Obviously, this is devastating for investors, specifically for those who are retired and living on fixed incomes, which is why what I'm about to tell you next is critical. But it's not just enough to buy the right oil stocks. You need to be prepared to protect your wealth from inflation caused by surging oil prices. And I'm going to show you how to do it. I've used my over 40 years of market experience to put together an exclusive bundle of reports. I call these reports the New American Age Bundle, 3 steps to survive and profit. Each report in this bundle details a critical step you must take to protect yourself in the days ahead. The first report, 10 Stocks to Sell in the New American Age, focuses on purging your portfolio of dead weight stocks, stocks that will drag you down as inflation rises. You know the system I mentioned earlier? It doesn't just help me find the good plays. It also helps me pinpoint stocks before they drop in value, and I convey that message to my followers before they get clobbered. And my system is rarely wrong. In fact, in 2000, back when 11 out of 13 analysts were still rating Enron a buy, my system told me it was time to get out. I told my followers to do so. Those who listened could have protected their portfolios from one of the most devastating stock collapses in modern American history. And today, my system is detecting multiple red flag companies, which I've detailed in this report. Trust me, in an inflationary environment, you can't afford to let dead weight drag down your portfolio. So that's step number one. You need to get rid of dead weight stocks. And then there's step number two. Now, this step is crucial for retirees or anyone relying on their investments to supply the income they need to cover their ordinary expenses. With inflation hitting all-time highs, it's not just good enough to buy good stocks and sell bad ones. You also need to start developing new income streams that won't be impacted by market turbulence. I've scanned the market and found 3 great income-generating opportunities, which I detail in the second report in this bundle, 3 income opportunities for the new American age. All these opportunities are delivering higher income opportunities than CDs or high-yield bonds. One of the opportunities in this report has already helped readers see gains up to 733%. Trust me, you're going to want to have these kinds of income opportunities in the months ahead. And then there is the third critical step you'll need to take to protect your wealth. I recommend you need to put at least a portion of your wealth in stable assets. Now, it's common knowledge that in times of economic uncertainty and high inflation, you move your money into stable assets like gold or silver. Inflation drives up the value of these assets. But you don't just want to go out and buy gold. You need to buy companies that are leveraged in gold, the same way you buy companies that are leveraged to the price of oil. That way you maximize profit. My team has isolated one such opportunity. You can find all of them in the final report in this bundle, the best gold play for the new American age. I believe that the information in these reports will allow you to protect your wealth in the days to come. Better yet, if you take all these steps, 1, get rid of deadweight stocks, 2, invest in income-generating opportunities, and 3, build wealth by investing in leverage assets, you will be in a far better position than 99% of the investors out there who don't see this massive change coming. You'll be able to potentially grow your wealth at a time when so many Americans will struggle to get by, which is why I want to give you this entire report bundle completely free with a special offer. All I ask is you try a risk-free subscription to my research advisory, Growth Investor. At the start of this presentation, I told you I've been in the financial world for over 40 years. In that time, I developed a loyal following of readers, people who turn to me for advice regardless of where the market heads. To meet the needs of these kind of readers, I launched a premier investing research service newsletter back in the 1980s. It's called Growth Investor. Today, Growth Investor is read by over 72,000 people all around the world. And across all of my research services, I've helped alert people to 173 stocks that have gone up more than 1,000%, and 18 stocks that have gone up more than 10,000%. That means my readers have had the opportunity to turn a $100 investment into over a $10,000 profit at least 18 times. Now, of course, all investing carries risk. Past performance does not equal future success. And I would never recommend investing any amount you aren't willing to lose. But I believe that my track record speaks for itself. Time and time again, I've been able to help folks find breakout plays while they were trading for pocket change. And over a 20-year period, Growth Investor outperformed the S&P by nearly 3 to 1. To the best of my knowledge, there is no other research advisory with this kind of track record. And our readers agree. They've relied on me and my team to help them navigate all different market environments and all different stages of their wealth-building journey. Just ask the longtime subscriber, Kevin J. Kevin worked for one of the big 3 automakers. Sadly, this business has been hammered in recent years, cutting compensation and eliminating tens of thousands of jobs. Kevin saw the writing on the wall, and he started to follow my work. Today, he no longer worries about job security, and he only works because he wants to, not because he has to. I'm sharing Kevin's story to illustrate the incredible power of investing. If you invested in the opportunities like the ones I'm showing you today, you can radically change your financial situation. Growth Investor was designed to help folks from all walks of life discover how to tap into the market's best opportunities. That's why folks from all around the country have had the chance to see incredible gains with our research. And I'm confident that you can too. Plus, when you sign up today, we're going to give you all the resources you need to get started right away. As soon as you sign up for your risk-free trial, you'll get access to all the exclusive benefits that come with a Growth Investor subscription, including 12 monthly issues of Growth Investor. Every month you'll receive a new issue of Growth Investor. I'll keep you up to date on everything going on in the market, from new technologies to soaring commodity opportunities. Every single issue is complete with new actionable investment opportunities. That means you'll get a minimum of 12 stock picks a year just from your monthly issues. Unlimited access to our entire archive of reports. As soon as you sign up for Growth Investor, you'll get access to our entire archive of reports that detail emerging opportunities in nearly every sector, from artificial intelligence to electric vehicles. My goal is to keep you up to date as opportunities evolve, so you can expect new reports to be added to our library throughout the year, completely free of additional charge. Urgent weekly updates. In markets like the ones we are seeing today, it's more important than ever to stay up to date. That's why every Friday, I'll send you a new weekly update, one where I provide my professional analysis when it comes to the events that happened in the past week. I do this because I believe it helps people stay on top of their potential investments without having to devote a huge portion of their day to reading the news. Plus, anytime urgent market or stock news breaks, or it's time to collect potential profits, I'll email you to explain what's happening and what it means for your Growth Investor recommendations. Support from a world-class customer service team. As a Growth Investor member, you'll gain access to our world-class customer service team. If you have any questions, they're ready to provide answers every weekday. Of course, they can't provide you with personal investing advice, but they will pass along your questions to me, and I answer the most frequently asked ones in my weekly updates. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, how much does all of this cost? Well, I'll be honest, under normal circumstances, access to me and my research isn't cheap. Investment firms like the one I run won't take on new clients worth less than $1 million. And I've charged pension and institutional money managers as much as $30,000 per year for the same caliber research I want to give you access to today. And they gladly paid it. But as I've been saying throughout this presentation, we're entering strange times. Inflation just hit 8.5%. The cost of goods and services are soaring, and millions of Americans are having their retirement eaten away day by day, years of work wiped out in months. I don't believe that anyone should go through a time like this without good research, which is why today I've made it my personal goal to get this message out to as many people as possible, and to give people access to world-class investing research for the lowest possible price I can engineer. That's why I've worked together with my publisher to put together a limited time offer. All you must do at this stage is to take action. And if you find that Growth Investor isn't for you, just reach out to our customer service team for a full cash refund. That's right, I'll return all your subscription fees to you anytime in the first year, no questions asked. I'll even let you keep my entire New American Age bundle. We can just part as friends. Why am I willing to offer this kind of guarantee? To be blunt, I've been in this industry for over 40 years. In that time, I've worked with thousands of people. I've seen folks learn how to take control of their finances and change their financial future for the better. But I've also seen people who decide, for whatever reason, my research isn't for them. It's rare, but it happens. And I don't want anyone to feel like they're just paying for research they don't use. That said, I'm confident in the level of research my team and I provide. The majority of folks trust us and stick with us throughout any market condition. That's why I offer this kind of refund. And to be honest, I don't know any other business anywhere that offers this kind of guarantee for such valuable information. But I believe that our research is that good. I believe that you will feel empowered to take the next step. To get started and to receive access to everything I've detailed here in a matter of minutes, simply click on the Subscribe Now button at the bottom of the screen. This will take you to a secure order form where you can review everything before submitting your order. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to review this presentation today. I do hope that you understand the unique opportunity in front of all of us today and act. The new American oil age is going to change the lives of millions of Americans in the coming years, and you deserve to be one of them. Thank you for watching today. I'm Louis Navellier.